Greetings everyone, it's your boy the Ant-Man here, back at you with another review. Let's wrap up our first triple strike for this series on an adventure at a daycare center with toys that treat it like a cult. Don't worry, this one has no all-seeing eye, and with a corporation like Disney behind this, that's actually kind of a surprise. Toy Story 3 was released in 2010 and was directed by Lee Unkrich, who was the editor of the first two movies and co-director of Toy Story 2. So what's in store for Woody, Buzz, and the rest of the gang this time? Andy is now 17 years old and is preparing to go to college. Woody and the others see this as a change of pace, so they try to make the best of it by preparing to go to the attic. He stuffs them into a trash bag to go up to said attic, but as he leaves it unattended in the hallway to handle something else real quick, his mother mistakes it for trash and takes it outside to the garbage truck. They break out just in time and go into the garage to hide, but then they take sight of a box that is labeled Sunnyside in the back of the family van. Sunnyside turns out to be a daycare center, and the toys see this as the perfect opportunity to be given another chance to be played with again. Woody, however, is not so fond of the idea. It says that they should still be here for Andy. Because of what happened, however, they think that Andy tried to throw them away, and Woody tries to convince them that's not true. Andy's mom starts up the van to take the box to the daycare center, and long story short, when they get there, they're brought into one of the playrooms and experience a whole new environment. The gang then meet new toys, who are led by Lotso, a bear who seems to be pretty sweet and humble. Not to mention, it smells like strawberries. Not only does it feel like a resort for the toys, but it also feels like a place where they can never be forgotten or shunned away because new sets of kids will keep coming as long as the daycare center is still in motion. Woody admits that while it is a nice place, he still feels that Andy is the number one priority. Everyone else, however, feels different in that this could be a fresh start for them and they can move on. Woody still takes leave and feels that this is for the best. As the daycare kids come into play, that's where the nightmare starts. They are quite rough to say the least. The toys then feel regret and want to get out of this hellhole as soon as possible. I know a lot of people said this about Toy Story 3 already when it first came out, but even to this day, I still consider it to be the most emotional out of all the movies. For starters, I really love the fact that they focused on the dilemma of Andy growing up. Him being a college boy and having to pack up means him growing more independent by being a young adult and not playing with his toys as much anymore. I also love how it pertains both perspectives from Andy's mother and sister and the toys themselves. Woody is probably the biggest optimist in all of this, since the plan was that they'd be in the attic, and he does his best to give them all reassurance that things will be okay. Then again, even Woody himself also had doubts. He had his doubts, but damn it, if I said he didn't try hard, that'd be a lie. The setting placement with Sunnyside Daycare is perfect for these guys to overcome. At first glance, from a human's perspective, it's just like any other daycare center with toys, activities like arts and crafts, and colorful playrooms. From a toy's perspective, the ones from Sunnyside treat it as a whole cult, and anyone who goes the opposite direction of what they say or do, you'll be dealt with even in the harshest way possible. To me, that's what makes Toy Story 3 stand out as its own unique entity in my eyes. I just love the fact that a cheerful and child-friendly place like this can be made into a prison. Even as a viewer, while you're watching, you'd want these guys to get up out of here and make it back to Andy. I haven't really seen many movies with a prison break kind of concept behind it, so to see something like Toy Story take an approach as heavy as this not only makes it fun to watch, but fun to experience overall. This one I think also has the funniest jokes. The stuff between Barbie and Ken makes me laugh, mostly because of the genuine feelings that they have for each other and the stuff they say. I love when she has to distract him inside the dream house, and he shows off all of his best suits, some of which are themed culturally and go by decades, including the 70s and 80s.
Oh, let's all
Michael Keaton and Jodie Benson play these roles perfectly and bring a lot of, dare I say, cuteness to their interactions. Man, oh man, I just love it. I also love the stuff with Buzz being rebooted. Like for the first time in this movie, when he is pinned down by the bad guys in Sunnyside, he is now, I guess, somewhat brainwashed and now works for them. But later on, when they break out and pin Buzz down themselves, they reboot him for a second time. Except now, he's in Spanish mode.
Bitácora espacial. Me he despertado del hipersueño en un planeta extraño.
Not only that, but he's also a pro at doing the tango and being a romantic in regards to Jessie.
Venga conmigo, señorita. Le enseñaré las maravillas de la galaxia y juntos, con nuestro amor, venceremos al mal.
The moments when he's like this are some of my favorite Buzz scenes in all of these movies, and that's saying a lot. He even says some of the iconic toy lines when he pushes the buttons in Spanish as well, but I love that they do much more with it. The tone is the right amount of balance, I feel. It's never too silly to the point where it's dumb, and it's never too dark to where it's too serious for you as an audience member. When the movie takes its time, if it's your first viewing of it, you begin to ponder just how things are going to play out with Buzz, Jessie, and the rest of the gang. That's one of its strong suits, in that it makes you want to see all of this action take place, and what it leaves to be desired for the story progression. The animation, as expected, is excellent. This being the darkest of the movies, that also intertwines with the use of coloring in certain scenes. A few shots of the baddies in the shadows, and colors like purple, yellow, and green. Not to say that there isn't a good amount of bright colors in the movie, because there is, and it's just as good as what the first two offered. This one also has its fair share of a little nightmare fuel, especially from this monkey. This freaking monkey! The way his eyes bulge out in his screech, this fool is just uncanny to the max. I can't even stand to look at him. I'm telling you right now, this monkey is possessed by Satan himself.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Now, the one thing I actually was kind of hesitant on talking about for this review was the main villain. Just to be open-minded, if you haven't seen this movie yet and don't want to be spoiled about who the villain is, skip to this time limit right here. I'll give you 6 seconds. Okay, here we go. So as it turns out, Lotso is the main villain of the movie. And to be fair, he does kind of have a good origin story as to how he became the way he is. You see, he was really close to his owner named Daisy, and they spent a lot of quality time together. He was the most special toy to her ever. But then one day when Lotso, along with Big Baby and Chuckles the Clown, were left behind, they had to make their way back home. But as soon as they look through Daisy's window, we find out that Lotso's been replaced. He then believes that she no longer cares about them and became a bit power hungry when he got to Sunnyside. He was a tragic figure, and you know, I actually love villains like this. But of course, when they're done right. And in this case, it's done decently. If you were in his position, you would probably understand where he's coming from. But the fact is, Daisy didn't really know any better. She was a young girl and simply wanted Lotso back. Doesn't mean he was replaced though. She missed him, but he took it the way that he saw it. And unfortunately, in the long run, that affected his overall character. He is the most diabolical out of all the Toy Story villains, and I remember growing up kind of hating his guts because he was so evil. Especially when he left the toys behind in the incinerator. Like, bro, what a bastard. Great character, but what a bastard. The ultimate heart of this movie is that it really has an emotional grasp on moving on and going to the next step in life, but still holding on to those childhood memories. A lot of folks most likely have grown up with the Toy Story movies since 1995, and a lot of them might have become college kids around the time this one came out. Actually, you could make the argument that Andy is almost a self-insert of longtime fans without even being intentionally written that way. A lot of us who have grown up and gave away our toys to younger kids for the next generation, we have all grown nostalgic of our childhood and the good times we shared with the toys that we played with. I remember some old toys I gave away myself, and you know, they do remind me of my humble beginnings as a wee lad. It's really impactful when you connect to the situation as much as the characters in the movie do. The reactions from Andy's mom, sister, and the toys, all of them are handled with genuine human emotion and care. You as the viewer feel that too, and it really does go to the heart when we get to the ending. This is without a doubt one of the most emotional movie endings I've seen ever. Everything that this movie set out to do from the beginning made it all worth it once we got to this point. I love Andy's energetic attitude when he's introducing the toys to Bonnie. He could just be playing it up to make it exciting for her, but I think it's more because of the fact that these guys were like his friends. As we grew up with these characters, they started feeling more like real people. They never left your side, and they're the ones that fill your thoughts with love and affection every second. I also love that Andy played with the toys for one last time before heading out to his future, almost like a last hurrah for his childhood chapter. He entrusted this little girl with all of his heart, and he knew right then and there that she's perfect to be next in line for the toys to be played with. So, do I consider Toy Story 3 to be the best in the series? Pretty hard for me to say, to be honest. I mean, I love the story, I love the action and stuff that goes on, I love the jokes, and most of all, I love the dilemmas and overall message. I would say this is probably my second favorite behind Toy Story 2. Not to say I love this one any less, because believe me, that is not the case. To me, this movie is a special event that deserves to be shared with a lot of future generations of children. If you are a parent watching this right now, if you haven't introduced your kids to these movies yet, I would say do it as soon as possible. Once they look back on their toys when they're in the age of college kids, you could be sure that they're going to lend them to somebody who they trust to carry on the legacy into a very, very bright future. I say Toy Story 3 is a magnificent installment to an already magnificent film series. And to that I say, thank you, Disney and Pixar. I give this movie a 10 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching today's episode. Next time, we'll be heading out to Rancho Cucamonga with our boy Ice Cube. And let's just say, we'll be dealing with some dirty S's if you catch my drift. But until then, here's your boy the Ant-Man signing off. Now then, Buzz, Jesse, other toys, let's get down and boogie!